What's going on, everybody? April 8th, back day. I'm going to break this one down. I wanted to start with the warm up real quick, just to give some clarity or shine some clarity on it. The back warm up is if you do everything on here, which is probably impossible to get through everything on here, you kind of mix and match as you go through the weeks. But these first two movements, the rotator cuff and the lock three movements, those two are rotator cuff health, engagement, strengthening. Just fantastic ways to strengthen your rotator cuffs, which obviously stabilizes your entire shoulder girdle and just lower your risk of injury on a day-to-day basis or week-to-week basis with all the lifting you guys do. The stretch and the PVC torso rotation, the lat stretch, those two are kind of the opposite. Those are opening you up, lengthening your muscles, not just working on mobility, but the more mobility you do have, the more effective you're going to be, or a better opportunity or chance you're going to have to come in and out of full range of motion, which is obviously what we're aiming for with really all movements. I don't ever want to say all 100%, but like 99.9% of movements we want in full range of motion on. And working on those two are not only going to, again, lower your risk of injury by making you more mobile or your ability to open up more, but also make you more effective on the actual movements themselves. Everything else listed on here, overhead mobility is just, again, opening up your shoulders, working on mobility up and overhead. Bar hangs or decompression, it's a fantastic way to open yourself up and lengthen as well. The workout itself, this workout is pretty neat. I'm going to obviously post another workout for the week. They're both very similar structures, but different approaches. So I love giving you guys autonomy or flexibility to choose different routes. All right. That doesn't mean you're doing, it's a completely different workout, but it's a different intensity level and it's a different approach or mindset to what you're trying to do. I do think a lot of us fall victim to, whatever the coach is saying, we kind of just leech onto that and we do it, or whatever somebody around us is doing, we just do whatever they're doing because it just feels that way, which is, again, probably one of the downfalls to group fitness is the latter there. But in this particular workout, pull-ups, transition into a ski erg, ball clean to carry. So what you're going to do is clean the ball to your to your chest. You're going to do a shuttle, which is to the rack and back. To the rower and back. You're going to do that 5 times. So every time you get back to your dumbbell rack, you'll drop it, re-clean it, do another shuttle. You'll do 5 of those. Calories biked, belly burpees, rest. Okay. The two main approaches here, and I'll go over a couple of little things of why things are placed where they are as well. But the two mindsets or main approaches in my mind when writing this was to give you the opportunity to aim for 5, 6, maybe 7 rounds, leaning on your 1-minute recovery and really increasing your output. Usually that approach is saved for the people that know themselves pretty well, have a pretty good understanding of their capabilities, right? You can't really choose that approach if you do not know how your body's going to handle 70+% output, right? Let alone a minute rest. Isn't that long with the amount of volume and exercises you have listed here. And the second one is, you're aiming 8, 9, 10 rounds, a lower output, right? A lot of times you guys see this 1-minute rest. We tell you want to lean on that rest, but I'm telling you right now, 1 minute is not a lot of time. So lowering your output and working on nonstop movement, unbroken sets, and moving again, slightly less weight, not like crazy light. Because our output is so low, I can still increase my weight, so I don't want to hammer that down too low. But really aiming on like getting an understanding of how to pace myself out over the course, at least the idea of doing 8, 9, 10 rounds, right? Caveat to this, if you do want to do 9 or 10 rounds, you do need to be finishing everything listed in under 4 minutes, right? Because you do have a 1-minute rest. So 5-minute rounds gets you to 50 minutes. You only have 50 minutes, sometimes only 45 minutes. So you do need to keep that into consideration as well. So not only do you have to have the ability to effectively do this much volume, but you also have to have the ability to do it at a fairly decent pace. So getting an understanding of what's realistic and what's not is kind of what the point of a lot of these workouts are. When, the fear I have and what I've seen is a lot of people will see this 10 rounds. They'll approach it the way I just prescribed at a lower output, kind of nonstop movement. They'll only get through 7 rounds and they'll feel like they failed because you didn't do 10 rounds. That's not the point. Like, the point is I have to include everybody into this. I need to include the most in shape people, and I need to include the people that have been sedentary for 10 years and just coming off the street. Everybody has to have options, right? So when you guys see 10 rounds, if you don't get through 10 rounds, you're in bad shape. That's not a failure. That's you getting hopefully a better understanding of like, all right, I did 7.5 rounds. Could I move quicker? Could I not have moved quicker? If I could have moved quicker, could I have changed my weights? It's just taking mental notes on a lot of this stuff. And eventually, the more you do that, you guys start seeing workouts like this and getting a better understanding of how you can flow through it. All right. So again, main one is, or the two main options here are, all right, I'm going to attack this pretty aggressively, kind of go as aggressive as I can in terms of pacing and weight, and really lean on that 1 minute rest. And in my head, I'm going to do 5 rounds as aggressively as possible. See if I can make it at that output. If I do, maybe I finish a 5th round and I'm like, all right, maybe I can do a 6th, right? Or you're going to go kind of a little bit lesser than that. You're going to go, all right, I'm going to aim for 7, 8, 9, 10 rounds. I don't want to feel like I'm dying. Like I don't need every second of that rest. It's just there as a luxury, right? I'm going to find an output as aggressively as I can, right? 60, 65, maybe 70% if you're really conditioned. And I can just rip through this type of volume pretty much unbroken. Again, for that more dragged out muscular endurance type of effect, 8, 9, 10 rounds, right? And at the end, you'll find out like, all right, I did exactly what Corey said. I held 65, 70% output. I'm breathing. It's hard. I didn't need the entire 1 minute rest, but I took it, obviously, because that's the point. But I only got through 7 rounds, right? What does that mean, right? And it's for you guys to kind of start paying attention to that and taking mental notes of it. Now, in terms of some of the exercises, in terms of it being back day, you got the 10 strict pull-ups. Anytime you guys see pull-ups, it's meant to be strict unless written otherwise, just FYI. All right, transitioning into the ski erg, which is going to pretty tough transition, right? The ski erg requires a lot of back contraction in order to generate power. So that's a nice little transition right there. A lot of back activation. The ball clean to carry. Remember, anytime we're picking anything up off the ground, we're moving with the weight. Like your back and your trunk and your torso, we're stabilizing the entire time. So although it may not be like an isolated back lift, your back is doing so much work when you guys are doing that. I think a lot of us kind of like don't think about that when we see a lot of these movements. Like we don't have to do like pullovers or low rows to have an effective back day. Very similar to core, like these farmer carries, the ski erg, the pull-ups. That's all core work. Your core has to be stabilized if you're going to be as effective as possible. Calories biked are really just to increase your heart rate after you get off of the clean to carry. Again, I love going up and down, kind of ebbs and flows when we're working out. It makes you guys focus on transitioning and breathing. And then, of course, the belly burpees, you guys are getting yourselves up and off the ground, tons of back, really tons of everything. Belly burpees, as some of you know, I can argue the best movement ever in terms of what it does for you, how functional it is, how many muscles are engaged. Again, just your ability to get your body weight off the ground, I think is incredibly valuable. And then again, the 1 minute rest to give you guys flexibility on if you're either going option A or option B that we talked about earlier. Anyways, I hope this helps. Obviously, if you have questions, fire. Again, questions create conversation. Conversation is how we peel some layers back and dig deeper here.